Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Pallavi Manchanda and with me is Manoj Singh Rana, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. As the world fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of caution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps: wear a face mask, maintain social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. India releases liberalized guidelines for acquisition and production of geospatial data. India to start COVID-19 vaccination for priority group of people above 50 years of age from next month. Global media heaps praise for India's Vaccine Maitri initiative. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Nigeria is the first ever woman to be the Director General of World Trade Organization. And in cricket, India set a victory target of 482 runs for England in second test in Chennai. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that liberalizing policies for acquisition and production of geospatial data will provide huge impetus to digital India. In his tweet message after the release of the new geospatial guidelines today, Mr. Modi termed it as a massive step towards realization of the vision of building an Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Prime Minister added that the reforms will unlock tremendous opportunity for countries, startups, private sector, public sector and research institutions to drive innovations and build scalable solutions. He asserted this will also generate employment and accelerate economic growth in the country. India's Science and Technology Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan has said the new geospatial guidelines will act as a catalyst in achieving the Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and the goal of a $5 trillion economy. Speaking to media after releasing the guidelines today, Dr. Vardhan said startups and mapping innovators will be trusted to self-certify, apply good judgment and be relied upon to demonstrate adherence to guidelines. He said this policy will enable Indian innovators to create substantial advances in mapping, ultimately making lives easier and empowering small businesses.
New guidelines, they are going to liberalize map making and democratize geospatial data sets, which is the crucial requirement for the geospatial industry. Surveying and mapping are vital in planning, development services and governance in all sectors. These new guidelines shall significantly benefit diverse sectors of the economy and enhance preparedness of the country for the emergency responses also.
The minister said maps and accurate geospatial data are crucial for national infrastructure projects such as linkages of rivers, creation of industrial corridors. Donor Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh said this is a historic decision to unshackle the geospatial sector by deregulating map making in the country. Dr. Singh said map is recognized as an instrument for development rather than a tool for securing the country. He said after unlocking the space sector to the private sector recently, today's announcement heralds the unlocking of geo-mapping from restrictive use to wider use in the interest of nation building. Our correspondent reports, with the advent of publicly available geospatial services, a lot of geospatial data that used to be in restricted zone will be freely and commonly available.
In India, a total of over 8.28 million people have been administered COVID-19 vaccines so far. The Union Health Ministry said that more than 21,000 people have been inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours. Dr. Neerja Bhatla, Professor Gynecology, AIIMS New Delhi, opines that even a surgery patient could be administered vaccines, but a cancer patient who is taking chemotherapy could be exempted from taking COVID-19 jabs. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate reached 97.29% with a total recovery of more than 9,000 patients in the last 24 hours. The ministry said more than 1 crore 6 lakh patients have already recovered from this disease. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 1,39,637, which comprises only 1.28% of the total positive cases. India's Health Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan has said that the government will start administering COVID-19 vaccine to the third prioritized group comprising people above 50 years of age from next month. Interacting with media persons regarding budgetary provision for the Union Health Ministry for 2021-22, Dr. Harsh Vardhan said that there are 26 crore people in this category. Dr. Harsh Vardhan said that currently around 18 vaccine candidates are in different stages of trials and will be rolled out in the future. The Health Minister also ruled out any death related to COVID-19 vaccination in the country. He mentioned that in the budget 2021-22, the government has allocated 35,000 crore rupees for COVID-19 vaccine. On COVID-19 situation, Dr. Harshvardhan said no new cases have been reported in 188 districts of the country in the last 7 days, in 76 districts in the last 28 days. He, however, stressed that it is crucial that people continue to follow COVID-appropriate behavior along with real vaccine. He said COVID-19 has strengthened India's health potential as the country turned a crisis into an opportunity. The centre has issued Standard Operating Procedure (SOP) on preventive measures to contain spread of COVID-19 in offices. In the SOP, Union Health Ministry has said that offices in containment zones shall remain closed except for medical and essential services, and only those outside containment zones will be allowed to open up. It said that generic preventive measures include simple public health measures that are to be followed to reduce the risk of infection with COVID-19. The ministry added that these measures need to be observed by all employees and visitors at all times. These include maintaining a minimum distance of 6 feet in common places, use of face covers or masks at all times, and practicing frequent hand washing. Mexico received a shipment of 870,000 doses of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine from India yesterday. The government said the country prepares to prioritize older people in the next phase of its vaccination campaign. Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard told a news conference that the country is also expecting shipments to resume of vaccine from Pfizer-BioNTech, with 494,000 doses due to arrive on Tuesdays. Sunday's shipment amounts to about 42% of the 2 million doses of the AstraZeneca and Oxford University vaccine the country plans to import from India, in addition to packaging it locally, the government said. Mexico and Argentina have an agreement with AstraZeneca to produce the vaccine for eventual distribution of 250 million doses in Latin America, with financial support from the foundation of Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim.
Around a month after India started sending indigenously developed COVID-19 vaccines to partner countries under grant assistance program named Vaccine Maitri, the global media has offered lavish praise for India. A report.
Eric Bellman of the Wall Street Journal said that India has emerged the surprise leader of the global vaccine diplomacy race. Appreciating India's outreach, he pointed out that it has exported 3 times more doses than it has given to its own citizens and can spare even more without hurting its own rollout. The New York Times said in a report that India has an unmatched vaccine manufacturing power and the country is giving away millions of doses to neighbors friendly and estranged. It added that India has already sent plane loads of vaccines to Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, the Maldives, Sri Lanka, the Seychelles and Afghanistan, among other countries. Constantino Xavier, who studies India's relations with its neighbors at the Center for Social and Economic Progress, a New Delhi think tank, told NYT that the vaccine push bolsters India's credibility as a reliable crisis responder and solutions provider to these neighboring countries. Gulf News, in an opinion piece, stated that being the world's largest vaccine manufacturer and leader in cost-effective generic medicine, India has already distributed indigenously produced vaccines to many countries. Nishit Kumar for World News, All India Radio.
The United Kingdom inoculated 15 million people against COVID-19 on Sunday. Prime Minister Boris Johnson hailed the achievement as a significant milestone. Mr. Johnson called it an extraordinary feat attained within 2 months after the first jab was given on 8th December 2020. Meanwhile, Health Secretary Matt Hancock said on Monday that Britain expects its weekly supply of COVID-19 vaccines to increase over time, enabling it to continue giving people the first dose of the vaccine as it starts also giving the second dose. The UK on Monday began a mandatory hotel quarantine regime for arrivals from dozens of countries deemed high risk in a bid to prevent the spread of new coronavirus cases. The new policy requires all UK citizens and permanent residents entering England from 33 countries on a wider travel ban list to self-isolate in a mandatory quarantine at approved hotels for 10 days and take several COVID-19 tests. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter @AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back to the World News. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed deep concern over the situation in Myanmar, including the increasing use of force and the reported deployment of additional armoured vehicles in major cities of the country. The Secretary General called upon the Myanmar military and police to ensure the right of peaceful assembly of the protester. He also expressed deep concern over the ongoing arrest of government officials, civil society actors and media representatives, along with restrictions on internet and communication services. The embassies of the US, the UK and the delegation of the EU and European Union member states with presence in Myanmar, including Denmark, Czech Republic, New Zealand and Australia, also issued a statement on Sunday condemning the detention and ongoing arrests of political leaders, civil society activists and civil servants, as well as the harassment of journalists. The ambassadors called upon the security forces to refrain from violence against demonstrators and civilians who are protesting against the military government. Meanwhile, the detention of the deposed State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi was extended by 2 more days today. She was scheduled to be presented before the court on Monday, but now she will be brought before the court on Wednesday. Continuing with the process of relocating Rohingya refugees from the crowded camps of Cox's Bazar, a batch of 2,010 Rohingyas were sent to the newly developed facility at Bashan Char on Monday. With this, close to 8,700 Rohingya refugees have been sent to Bashan Char from the camps of Cox's Bazar. The Rohingya refugees reached the Bashan Char island in the afternoon after covering the distance from Patenga at Chattogram in about 3 hours by 4 naval ships. Earlier, they had arrived from the Ukiya Baluakhali camp at Cox's Bazar on Sunday, according to reports. The government of Bangladesh started relocating the Rohingya refugees from Cox's Bazar to Bashan Char from December 4th, despite doubts raised by environmental groups and UN agencies about the safety of the relocated persons, as the island is a newly emerged landmass.
At the 12th East Asian Summit in 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ushered in a paradigm shift in India's foreign policy by providing it with a renewed thrust eastwards. India firmly resolved to enact East policy as a logical extension of the Look East policy. Japan is a vital partner in India's Act East policy and equally important as India's own Northeast region in this endeavour. India's northeastern state of Assam thereby becomes critical in the success of its Act East policy. In today's Hotspot segment, we are focusing on the recent visit by Minister of External Affairs of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to Assam, where he spoke on the topic Future of Assam, the Future of India and the Future of Asia.
The External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, spoke on the slew of developmental projects assisted by Japan in the Northeast zone with special focus on Assam.
It is actually remarkable that within a decade, the India-Japan partnership is today seen in Asia, perhaps in the world, as one of the most natural and close. And indeed, the awarding of the Padma Vibhushan to the previous Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, on 26 January was symbolic of the journey that we have travelled together.
Asserting that connectivity is one of the key pillars of the Act East policy, Dr. Jaishankar envisaged Assam as a hub for connectivity for India's neighbours, namely Bangladesh, Myanmar and Bhutan.
Our initiatives are today once again making the Brahmaputra River the primary channel for movement of goods and people. Assam will connect the Himalayas with the Bay of Bengal through inland water connectivity to the main ports there, especially Chittagong and Mongla. We are working to develop the Eastern Waterways Transport Connectivity Grid, which is supported by the World Bank. Work has already begun to use river ports like Dhubri and Karimganj to move goods to and from Bhutan and Bangladesh, respectively. We are also developing port facilities in Ashuganj in Bangladesh to help give southern Assam external connectivity. And we are already dredging stretches of Brahmaputra and Kushiari rivers to increase navigability and facilitate faster trade.
The minister underlined the significance of the India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway in boosting regional connectivity.
The India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway is at an advanced stage as we look now to construct some missing road links in central Myanmar and upgrade a few bridges in the Tabo-Kalewa segment. Studies have assessed the viability of extending it further from the Thai border through Laos all the way to central Vietnam. The Kaladang multimodal transport link, including the Sitwe port and the Paletwa inland water terminal, will add to our access to the Myanmar coastline. Assam also stands to benefit from the activities of a regional organization called BIMSTEC. Its master plan on transport connectivity that was finalized last December envisages 264 projects of different sizes among all its members, many of them which have a very direct relevance to Assam. Indeed, through them, southern and eastern districts of Assam will develop the ability to move goods produced there cost effectively to global markets.
Dr. S. Jaishankar stressed upon Prime Minister Modi's vision for Assam in India's foreign policy.
We know that a modern, prosperous, globally connected Assam has a resonance, has an importance which is well beyond the state. And that recognition is really what drives the Modi government's commitment, its appreciation of Assam, and also what we are doing in foreign policy to facilitate and progress development in the state.
He concluded his address by saying that for India to regain its greatness, Eastern India should achieve prosperity.
India was a great country only when Eastern India was prosperous and secure. That revival must happen again, and that is very much at the core of the Modi government's commitment to Assam. And when it comes to the future of Asia, because that is something where we and Japan work together so closely, it is essential today that we build a connectivity all the way from the Arabian Sea to the South China Sea. And that will be possible only by making Assam the meeting point of this connectivity.
Foreign Secretary of India Harshvardhan Shringla will pay an official visit to Moscow on the 17th and 18th of February 2021 at the invitation of Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mr. Igor Morgulov. In a statement, the External Affairs Ministry has said that the Foreign Secretary will hold the next round of India-Russia Foreign Office consultations with the Deputy Foreign Minister Morgulov, during which the two sides will review the entire gamut of bilateral relations, including the forthcoming high-level exchanges. During the visit, Foreign Secretary will also meet Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov for an exchange of views on topical issues of regional and international importance. He will also deliver a speech on India-Russia relations at the prestigious Diplomatic Academy of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic situation, India and Russia have sustained the momentum of the special and privileged strategic partnership between the two countries. This year's first visit abroad by the Foreign Secretary to Moscow signifies the importance of India attaches to its close and friendly relations with the Russian Federation.
In Spain's northeastern region of Catalonia, separatist parties won enough seats on Sunday in Catalonia's regional parliament to strengthen their majority. Catalonia, the wealthy northeastern region, voted today in an election amidst the pandemic. With over 99% of ballots counted, separatists won 50.9% of the vote, surpassing the 50% threshold for the first time, according to reports. Tensions have ebbed in Spain, and most voters were reportedly more concerned about the COVID-19 pandemic than independence. The election saw a low turnout of 53% amid the pandemic, down from 79% in the previous election in 2017. Israel has cancelled its participation in a major defense expo to be held in the United Arab Emirates next week. According to reports, Israeli officials decided to pull out of the event due to COVID-19 curbs on air travel. Several of Israeli defense firms were due to take part in the IDEX conference in Abu Dhabi from February the 21st to the 25th. This would have been the first such event after the establishment of formal relations between the two nations in September 2020. Israel is trying to reverse a surge in COVID-19 cases.
The United States on Sunday condemned the killing of 13 kidnapped Turkish citizens in northern Iraq. Turkish officials said that they were executed by militants of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party (PKK). The executions, according to reports, included military and police personnel and took place during a Turkish military operation launched on February 10th against the PKK. 48 militants were killed in the operation, according to Turkey's defense minister. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price, in a statement, condemned the incident. He said that the United States deplores the death of Turkish citizens in the Turkestan region of Iraq. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Nigeria was appointed as the next Director General of World Trade Organization on Monday. Dr. Iweala makes history as the first woman and the first African to lead the WTO. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala was formerly the board chair of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. A development economist and former finance minister of Nigeria, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala had been the board chair of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, since 1st January 2016. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala was named by Forbes Africa as one of Africa's 50 most powerful women in 2020. She was named by Fortune magazine as one of the world's 50 greatest leaders in 2015 and by Forbes as one of the world's 100 most powerful women for 5 consecutive years. In 2014, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala was recognized by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people.
The International Solar Alliance, ISA, announced Dr. Ajay Mathur as its new Director General on Monday following his election at the first Special Assembly of ISA members. A coalition of 73 member countries, the ISA was established at the end of 2015 to accelerate the demand for and use of safe, sustainable and affordable solar energy for all. It aims to mobilize over $1 trillion of investment into solar projects by 2030 through focused advocacy, policy and regulatory support, capacity building and by overcoming perceived investment barriers. Dr. Mathur replaces Mr. Upendra Tripathi, who has served as the Director General since the ISA was founded in 2015. Speaking at the ISA's special session of the Assembly on Monday, Dr. Mathur said, in the first 100 days at the helm, he would like us to initiate an assessment of solarization opportunities in our member countries. He added he would seek to identify the institutional and business models that can help implement the goals of the organization. The first day of the spring, called Pehla Phagun, was celebrated in Dhaka despite the continued shadow of coronavirus pandemic in the country. Cultural organizations held programs at different venues in the country to herald the beginning of the spring. Programs were held at the Suhardi Udyan Nandan Manch of Shilpkala Academy and several other locations. The Jatiya Basant Utsav Udyapan Parishad organized the program at the Suhrawardi Udyan in Dhaka. Young women wearing yellow saris and youth dressed in Punjabis took part in the festivity. The program featured dance and musical performances. The traditional program of Basant Utsav at the Fine Arts Faculty in Dhaka University was cancelled since educational institutions have been closed since till February the 28th by the government due to the corona pandemic.
The 15th of February is the death anniversary of Mirza Ghalib. Though Azad was his real name, he was famous with his pen name of Ghalib. His honorific was Dabir-ul-Mulk, Nazm-ud-Dawla. Ghalib beautifully and poignantly described the already declining Mughal Empire, which was eclipsed and displaced by the colonial British Raj. The idea that life is one of continuous painful struggle which can end only when life itself ends is a recurring theme in his poetry. Let us celebrate the maestro's life through a rendition of one of his most famous poems aired on Prasar Bharati.
कलकत्ते का जो जिक्र किया तूने हम नशी, एक तीर मेरे सीने में मारा कि हाय हाय, वो सब्ज़ाज़ार हाय मुतहर कि है गज़ब, वो नाज़नी बुतान खुदारा कि हाय हाय। सब आज़मा वो उनकी निगाहें के हफ़ नज़र, ताकत रुबाब उनका इशारा कि हाय हाय। वो मेवा हाय ताजो शीरी के वाह वाह, वो बाद हाय ना वो गवारा कि हाय हाय।
Now let's take a look at the trends in the global markets. The BSE Sensex today ended with gains of more than 1% to hit fresh record high. The Sensex closed above 52,000 mark for the first time, while the NSE Nifty settled above 15,300 level. Domestic as well as foreign investors' confidence in the Indian equity have boosted both key stocks to around double in last 11 months. A report from the Business World.
The BSE Sensex today climbed 610 points or 1.18% to 52,154, and the NSE Nifty added 151 points or 1% to finish at 15,315. The broader market at BSE also gained. The BSE Mid Cap Index was up 1.4%, while the BSE Small Cap Index appreciated 0.37%. In the global equity market, share prices worldwide advanced to record highs as successful coronavirus vaccine rollouts globally raised hopes of a rapid economic recovery amid hopes of a new U.S. fiscal package. Oil prices soared to their highest in about 13 months. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $63.40 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $60.80 per barrel. And in the forex market, the rupee appreciated 7 paisa to close at 72 rupees and 69 paisa against the US dollar. Anubha Rohadki for World News, All India Radio.
Moving on to sports, in tennis, world number 2 Rafael Nadal on Monday entered the quarterfinals of Australian Open tennis tournament, beating the world number 17 Fabio Fognini of Italy 6-3, 6-4, 6-2. Nadal will now face the winner of tonight's match between Tsitsipas and Berrettini. In cricket, chasing the victory target of 482 runs set by India, England were 53 for the loss of 3 wickets at stumps on day 3 of the second test being played in Chennai. Dan Lawrence was batting on 19 and Joe Root was on 2 runs when the stumps were drawn. The visitors need 429 more runs to win the match. Earlier, India scored 286 runs in the second innings. Ravichandran Ashwin was the highest scorer with 106 runs, while skipper Virat Kohli contributed 62 and Rohit Sharma added 26 runs. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. New York Times reports that hundreds of thousands of people in the US were hit by power outages as a major storm covered much of the country over the weekend. The Wall Street Journal cites Israel's largest vaccine study, which found that people who received 2 doses of the Pfizer shot were 92% less likely to develop severe illness from COVID-19. Khaleej Time reports that the Abu Dhabi Department of Education and Knowledge has issued new COVID safety guidelines for schools. The guidelines make periodic PCR tests for staff, students, and masks mandatory for students in grade 1 or year 2 and above. The Sydney Morning Herald writes that Australia's world number 1 Ash Party makes short, clean work of a round of 16 clash with American Shelby Rogers.
A quick look at the headlines once again. India releases liberalized guidelines for acquisition and production of geospatial data. India to start COVID-19 vaccination for priority group of people above 50 years of age from next month. Global media heaps praise for India's Vaccine Maitri initiative. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Nigeria is the first ever woman to be the Director General of World Trade Organization. And in cricket, India set a victory target of 482 runs for England in second test in Chennai. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Croatia.
See, I told you we won't run short.
And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.